In this podcast or blog post, or both of them, I plan to tell my story of the past 30 years drinking what I can only call heavenly water. It all started 30 years ago when my sister introduced me to ionized water. And she shared several TV broadcasts that she had recorded about new water technology coming out of Japan called electrolysis, or it was also called by other names like ionized water or electrolyzed water, that kind of thing. At the time, the water had been used mainly in hospitals and clinics in Japan and Korea with great results. But it was just that year making headway into homes for personal and preventative use. Now, one of the hospital reports, a huge report that she showed me, was about Watanabe Hospital in Japan. And Dr. Watanabe, the head of gynecology, treated thousands of prenatal patients. I believe it was like 20,000 a year or some enormous number. And thousands were cured of preeclampsia, which is very serious, and other prenatal ailments. And also, by the way, their babies were healthier and more intelligent than the average. And, to put it in a nutshell, he said this water, ionized water, can neutralize toxins. Ionized alkaline antioxidant water improves body constituents and ensures effective healing to many illnesses. Now, this is coming from this doctor. I found that the women with preeclampsia toxemia who consumed antioxidant water tend to deliver healthier babies with stronger muscles. Now, of course, this was in Japan, where natural healing, especially at the time, was far friendlier than the U.S. And I believe it still is far friendlier than the U.S. Although I think countries like Japan and whatnot are becoming more quote-unquote westernized now with pharmaceuticals. But, back at the time, they were very, very open to this kind of thing. And I remember also at the time having just experienced delivering my fifth child, and I had this preeclampsia toxemia. And it was very scary. And I really believe, and believed at the time and still believe, oh my gosh, women need to know this information. And the fact that their babies were being born healthy and even healthier than normal and intelligent, even more intelligent than normal, was just quite impressive to me. And he was the head of this gynecological hospital. Another thing that was found in other hospital reports, and not this particular one, was that acidic water was being used. And these were news reports at the time that were making headlines in like Japan and Korea. And these TV reports were, I have links to those videos below. But, this was a little older technology of videos. So you can, it might not live up to your standards of videography today, but these were authentic TV reports back in the mid-90s, and my sister had recorded them and was showing them to me. So you'll get a chance to see those very ones. One particular hospital at Kiowa Hospital in Japan, forgive my pronunciation if it's wrong, where acidic water kills fungus, mold, and bacteria. And athlete's foot and bed sores were treated only with ionized water, and to great success. And this is, like I said, reported on their local TVs. Another report showed atopic dermatitis, and that was curable by this special report. And it shows the young babies that had this awful itchy skin disease, and how stressed they were, and how awful their life was until they were cured of it with the acidic water. And, by the way, years later, when I started selling machines, I had a couple of parents who called me and told me about their child with atopic dermatitis and asked me if I thought it would work, the machine I was selling, if they would pour the acidic water into a little baby bathtub, did I think it would work with their child? And as a matter of fact, they called me a month later and just blessing me and thanking me and telling me how it changed their daughter's life and they would be forever indebted. And I do have that somewhere on my website. I have so many blog posts. I did write about that at the time, but that was when I first started selling water ionizers. It was very heartening for me to see a real live experience of somebody I now knew that was experiencing this. Now, okay, so another thing that my sister had recordings of were news articles about animal studies, and there's links to these things. Oh, by the way, here's the links to the Kiowa Hospital one and the atopic dermatitis one. If you're interested, you definitely should watch those videos. But this animal study here, 40,000 chickens. Okay, so they had two huge buildings, warehouse type buildings, full that were chicken houses, basically. And they split 40,000 into 20,000 for each, building. And one building, they fed only alkaline ionized water. Obviously they gave the same chicken feed to each of the buildings. Everything was the same. The temperature, everything. The buildings were literally side by side, and all elements of their care was the same except for the water. So one building they were fed alkaline ionized water, and the other one just regular plain groundwater as they normally would. And the you really should watch the video. It's just incredible how much better the chickens thrived when being given alkaline ionized water as their main source of water. So you should watch that video. And another thing that impressed me at the time, and this is like in the mid-90s, so don't expect the video to be just this marvelously produced thing, but these are also news reports about mice studies, and these were various experiments with mice showing impressive results using ionized water for diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, and obesity in mice and rats. Now, you would think in the mid-90s, these reports coming out of Japan, I honestly believed this was something really cutting edge, that it was going to explode into some worldwide natural healing with water. That's what I expected. But one way or the other, I just figured it'd happen organically or whatever, that people wanted to help others, the news wanted to help others, the medical establishment wanted to help its people, and that it would naturally just explode because of these results. But I was later really surprised when it was just like, not happening. Anyway, that's another story. But all of that led me to buying my first water ionizer in 1995, 30 years ago. And I just was determined to find one, find one to buy. I just saw these news reports, and I was like the internet was fairly new at the time. It took a lot of work for me to find a water ionizer, and it was quite expensive to buy it. And so I bought it, and because I had such good indoctrination, I suppose. I was really educated in what this water could do. And I think that empowered me to believe that this water was something I should really, really use and give a try. And I had 5 children, and all varying ages. And so I got my first water ionizer and just used it myself regularly, drank the water, used the acidic water for cleaning and disinfecting and skin and various things. I also just had my children drink the water. And with kids, of course, it's like you just have to stand there and watch them do it. I mean, you can't just trust they're going to, get talked into this. If I saw, I would have them drink the water on a regular basis, but, and then mix it in with cooking or juices or whatever I was mixing with. But if I saw a runny nose or a scratchy throat or anything, a pimple, I would call them over, give them a glass of water, and just watch them drink it. Just to make sure they did drink it. So, they protested, but it really changed my family, and it changed my own self. I used to have allergies to the tune that it would turn into infections, or at least it would feel like infections to me. And the doctor would say, oh, no, it's allergies. Here, take this blah, 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 medication. Like, I was not into medication. I really wanted natural. I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I just used the water. And after about a year, I kind of reflected on that first year. And I realized, wow, I don't have these allergies anymore. I haven't had an ear infection. I haven't had a cold or throat. I used to have this thing I called throat thing. I thought it was strep, but the doctor assured me it was not strep. But it just was a constant irritation in my throat, and various things like that just disappeared. So I noted that, note to self, this is great, it's working. So I just kept on doing what I was doing. And about a day, and I really lived a very challenging life because I was raising 5 children and I was teaching full-time, and it was just quite challenging. But after retiring from 25 years as a teacher and principal, I had a lot of computer and internet knowledge at the time. I mean, more than the average. And I decided I was going to build a website, which I had a basic understanding of how to do, but I was going to hire a company to help me do it as well. Anyway, I had a coach, and the coach insisted that I sell something that I was passionate about. And so he was coaching me, trying to get me to uncover what was just the very best product I ever bought, ever. And I'm like, well, okay, there's only one answer to that. And he's like, well, what is it? And I said, a water ionizer. Well, the fact that he didn't know what a water ionizer was convinced him that I need to educate the world about this. And, well, of course, I explained what it was to him, and he's sold on it. And I'm like, okay, I realize now this is what I need to sell, and this is what I need to build my website around and educate people as well. It's not just a matter of selling something people are already know about. I was so surprised the world didn't already know about this yet, but they didn't. And I thought, well, somebody's got to do this. And so I built my website around the whole thing. And one of the first things I had to do was I had to find water ionizers that were being sold then. And I also had to really look up the latest research in water ionizers. So that was, I'm not going to go over all of it because there was a a progression in finding the right water ionizers. I realized, oh my gosh, every water ionizer company is telling you about how they're the best and everybody else is not. And I'm like, ah. So I really just had to invest in it, buy all the water ionizers and find out for myself. And I later on decided to do video testing and share that information with others just to show people. Now, obviously, a water ionizer is expensive. You can't just have normal people go out and buy every single water ionizer and throw, all the ones that aren't as good away while using the one they like the best. It's just not practical. So I thought, well, somebody needs to do it. So I did that. Anyway, the bigger thing that I think I did that impacted me is looking at the latest research in ionized water. And I'm going to say this Japanese doctor or scientist, I guess doctor and scientist, was very, very innovative, Dr. Emoto. And he photographed, he had studied water and was in the process of studying waters from all these different locations that were claiming to be healing water. And I mean, honestly, there were a lot of people doing this at the time in their own different ways. But he had a unique way of looking at these different healing, quote unquote, healing waters, like water from Lourdes in France or Nordau in Germany or the Himalayan mountains, this kind of thing. We're famous for these locations or pockets around the world where people live to well over 100 and healthy and don't even need hospitals and all this stuff. So, his take and his way of researching the water, healing water, was to photograph it. He would take water droplets on slides and put them into a flash freezer and had set up, automatic click, click, click photographing the droplet as it was freezing, microscopically, just looking at it and photographing and seeing its progress in freezing. And he found that in the city water, where it had been treated, and first of all, it's not in its pristine source, mountain source. It's now gone through all these industrial or other areas where there are pesticides and herbicides and all these things are being used and get into the groundwater. It's up in the healing water sources were creating these beautiful, beautiful crystals. And then the city water was just not able to do that. They'd make these ugly lumps. And he tried a variety of things, like filtering it with different kinds of filters, trying to get all of the industrial waste and other things out of the water, make it as clean as possible. He tried reverse osmosis and distillation and then remineralizing the reverse osmosis water and all these things to make it as clean as possible and healthy as possible. And still, he could not get that city water to make these beautiful crystals like the healing waters did. So he knew he was onto something. There's something about this. Well, one particular day or whatever, Jay Hare sent him a machine, a water ionizer, to test, and he ran the water through the ionizer, and voila, city water was now going through a filter and being purified, but it was also being electrolyzed. The ionization process brings the water down to its more natural state by splitting the stream. The acidic and bad minerals, I guess, are going out one stream, and the alkaline healthy minerals are not being stripped from the water like reverse osmosis or distillation. They're being allowed to carry through into your ionized water product. So he sent this, it's called a GIF, GIF, I don't know, I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Anyway, Jay was the owner of Ion Life, it was called at the time. And it's changed its name many times since then. But bottom line is, this was really significant because this was city water. And what it meant was that people were going to be able to get healthy, pure, healing water as if they were a billionaire flying to these beautiful mountain resorts or whatever, getting this wonderful treatment with ionized water. So this was significant, and of course, I had been drinking ionized water for over a decade at the time, and it was not surprising to me that this water, somebody was finding a way to show that this water was right in the same category as these other healing waters in these pockets around the world. So anyway, people now are able to buy a machine. It's not the cheapest thing in the world because you have to use expensive ingredients to make this ionizer. There's platinum in there, which is pretty much one of the most expensive minerals in the world. I mean, at one point it was more expensive than gold. I'm not sure if it still is, probably not, but it's quite expensive. And then also the technology of building a water ionizer is quite expensive. You just can't. There's a lot of copycat water ionizers coming out of China and things like that, but they are just nothing like the real companies that really understand, and they have engineers knowing exactly how to make ionized water the proper way. But anyway, it's cheaper today, or let's say money is worth less today, but the prices are still the same. I'll say it that way, to get a water ionizer. And one of the things that I realized was that I have saved a lot of money in medical bills over the years. I just don't even know how to quantify that. It's really just a beautiful thing, but it's not provable or quantifiable. But it's something I can know. Anyway, there's that, and there's a certain, I guess, way of thinking about things that makes sense to me, and that is, if your body is given perfect water, and perfect water is what your body needs to stay healthy and to heal itself, then why not do that? Oh my gosh. Well, what a lot of people do is they'll wait until they get sick, and then they have to go to the doctor, and they have to get medication. They have to do all these things that aren't necessarily, actually, there's a lot of toxins involved in that way of doing things. And anyway, it just makes sense to think this way, that you're going to, what I'm trying to say is this is not medicine. It's not a curative device. This is a way to get perfect water so you can be proactive in making your body perfect, which one of the things God gave us to detoxify and everything in our body is water, but not the kind of water that normally comes to your tap in this day and age. Anyway, sorry about all the rambling, but let's go down to a little bit more work. The work of Ben Johnson and Jay Hare, they went to I have to try to pronounce this right, Vilcabamba, I think is the pronunciation, in Ecuador. I mean, it's high up in the mountains, and they studied water there. And the reason they went there was people were living to over 100 years old with no need for hospitals, and they were not, invalids or anything. They were just living. They were producing all their life. I mean, to well over 100 years old, they're living productive lives, and so they claimed it was their water. And so Jay and Ben went to go and study that water, and they found that in testing that stream that the people were drinking, getting their water from, they found the pH was slightly alkaline, the ORP was slightly negative ORP, or containing antioxidants similar to ionized water. So that, they expected to see that, or they were thinking they would see it, and that's what they did see. Then there's other work that I studied, and this is like 15 years ago. I was building my store at the time and wanted to understand and know more about what the newest research is. Beverly Rubik, doctor, and I believe she's works at a university lab or whatever. She was studying water, and she was studying all the different kinds of water, and filtered water, bottled water, hydrogen water, from a hydrogen machine, a vortex water, and all these different newer methods, and also ionized water. And it turns out that she found the healthiest water most electrically energized. And you have to kind of look at this link. There's a lot to what she studied. Was a ionized water. So a water ionizer is what she found to be the best. Another piece of work that really impressed me was the work of Dr. Hiromi Shinya, and he's a gastroenterologist famous for his invention of the colonoscopy. And he has performed over 500,000 or so colonoscopies in his career, quite a few. And he did a lot of research in the healthy, helping his patients naturally achieve healthy colons, which is significant. Anyway, I've written about Dr. Shinya in several different locations on my website, so you could probably just do a search of Shinya on my search bar at the top of any page and find the various articles I've written about him. But basically, he wanted to help people make their colons healthy, which then improves their immune systems and their lives. I mean, their longevity and quality of life. And one of the things, of course, he gives a diet with various healthy foods to eat, but one of the things he emphasizes in every single diet plan he's ever produced is the value of alkaline ionized water, to drink that throughout the day. I mean, whether it's an ounce every hour or 3 ounces an hour or 8 ounces or whatever it is, drink it. So some people drink more water than others. If you are one of those that your body has moved away from water and just really can't seem to drink it very much, you need to probably retrain your body to drink it, because it's really very, very healthy to do, and especially alkaline ionized water, because, as I said earlier, it is the perfect water, and it helps to detoxify all of the systems in the body, and according to Dr. Hiromi Shinya, your colon. And I'm not going to keep on going into it, but you can watch his videos and see more about him by searching the name Shinya. Just put it into the search box. I've just written so much about him. All right. Now, the work of Nate Darnell, he's the Vice President of Diabetes Support Services Incorporated. Now, here's a video. This is quite a lengthy video, but anybody who's interested or has diabetes, you should probably watch that. His clientele for the diabetes support services are all diabetics, and a lot of them veterans, but from all walks of life. And he tasked himself with a job to find what would support diabetics in the best possible way. And one thing that he soon realized in researching all of his patients and their various, whether they're still alive or died or whatever, he found that the diabetic patients don't die from diabetes. They die from cardiovascular disease or cancer or everything else that's caused by significant amounts of free radical damage. And that includes kidney failure, liver damage, things like that. Now, a few things that he noted in his lecture, and I don't want to take away from the lecture, you should definitely watch it. In 1999, Japanese researchers discovered beneficial action of hydrogen-rich water on tumor cells. And so he focused a lot of his research on that, and especially the hydrogen in electrolyzed reduced water or ionized water. And he has not been able to find an exact, in other words, scientists don't know exactly why. But you can deduce from so many different studies that electrically reduced water or ionized water, which is rich in hydrogen gas, suppresses telomeres, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and tumor cells. And if you watch the mice study experiments from earlier on, and I had a link to it. It was one of the things I watched back in the mid-90s. They were showing that it did ionized water reduce tumor cells in that research too. So there's a lot that is there to be learned about supporting diabetics, but Nate Darnell did a lot of work here, and I think it's worthy of if you have diabetes or know somebody with it, to look at what he wrote. And he had a lot to say about ionized water and its benefits. Next significant scientist or doctor is Dr. Ota, and he's Japanese, from Nippon Medical University in Japan. And he wrote an article in 2007 that appeared in Nature magazine. The significance of that was it was one of those magazines that was considered, I guess, authentic or whatever you want to say. It was prestigious, let's say it that way, magazine in the medical community. So a lot of doctors and researchers read that magazine and saw his article and did their own carry-off research on their own based on what he found. And, it really kind of stimulated a whole bunch of other research at that point. So some of Dr. Ota's findings was that hydrogen is a molecule found in pairs, H2 in other words, or it's combined with other elements to make different molecules. And of course, everybody knows H2O has H2 in it, but H2O is not going to have hydrogen in a form that the body can use as an antioxidant. But H2 does. H2 as a molecule is produced in water ionizers, but you can also make it as a gas. And he studied mostly as a gas, but he also dissolved it in water, pumped it into water and various things. And he found that H2 acts as a selective antioxidant in the body. In other words, there are good, quote-unquote, radicals that are helpful in the body. They kill, germs or whatever. And then there's bad free radicals that can destroy cells and DNA. So H2 seems to be selective, or he found it to be selective in all of his studies, 15 years worth, in that it only destroyed the bad radicals, the free radicals that damaged cells and caused cancer and other diseases. And he compares this to common antioxidants. Now, vitamin C, vitamin E, various things like that, they're bulky and they don't easily get into cells, or maybe they don't at all get into cells. And they'll go through the bloodstream and whatnot. And there is some action that they do to neutralize free radicals, but they're not going to do the job that H2 does. H2 is not only tiny. I mean, hydrogen is like, look at the periodic table of elements. It's the tiniest element. And it's so tiny, and it's also lipid soluble, which is important. To go through a membrane of a cell, you have to have tininess and lipid solubility, and it has both of those. So it's able to donate its extra electron harmlessly, either in your bloodstream, in your various organs, or in your cells, or in your DNA even. And it not only can prevent free radical damage, or oxidation is another way of calling it, but it can go through and heal where that damage has already occurred. So he did all this study, and he found that the electrons of H2 bind and unbind over and over and over again inside the body, giving its, donating its negative, or its electron to free radicals harmlessly. And eventually it evaporates. I mean, it's a gas, so it's just going to evaporate eventually. But other antioxidants can actually do damage after they donate their electrons. And so for that, there's limits that have been placed, toxicity levels determined and various things with other kinds of antioxidants, whereas there has not been any toxicity level discovered for H2, because it's if you get too much of it, it's just going to evaporate. It's just not going to do anything. And I've actually tried it all, and I've found that to be true. There's only so much H2 that your body needs. And beyond that, trying to go crazy over it and trying to get only H2 and just all the H2 you can and breathe it and drink it and do everything, it just doesn't do any more than just getting enough. And to me, just enough is like a couple of liters worth in water, in ionized water every day. I probably drink about 3 liters worth a day. And that's enough. That, more than that just never did any harm, but it also didn't do any extra good beyond that. So here are some of the things that he says about H2. That molecular hydrogen even repairs cells after damage. I said that already. High concentrations of H2 to are entirely safe. I said that. It helps the body's homeostasis by removing harmful free radicals and leaving useful ones alone. I kind of already said that. All right, so anyway, this blog post is linked below this video, so you should probably just read all about it. And then there's another article here that has videos of Dr. Ota explaining these things in his own words, and you should probably read that article for more information. Now, another thing that in more recent years has come up is better filtration with ultrawater filtration. Now, ultrawater is a really new technology in filtration. It's so advanced that there just is no better filtration. There just is no. Like, you're not going to find a filter that will filter all of these things out of your water as good as ultrawater filters. And not only that, but the Alcaviva company that has made the ultrawater filters, and they test it all the time to make sure it is removing all of the various toxins that are in the water. And you can see the testing reports that are all over my website about it. It will remove toxins from the water up to 99.99%, and this is shown in scientific lab testing. It's not just claimed without any proof. It really, the proof is there. Even forever chemicals, which supposedly are never able to get gotten rid of, the ultrawater filters can remove those. Another thing about the water ionizers of today is that the manufacturers that I get my machines from are making the ionizers with more attuned to the H2 and having better antioxidant capabilities in the ionizers themselves. And another thing that probably has been known for the whole 30 years is bodies naturally need to be slightly alkaline. Your body actually is meant to be slightly alkaline. It's not that if you ate a beautiful, perfect diet with lots of salad and vegetables, and you probably would already have that slight alkalinity, and maybe the big benefit for you with alkaline ionized water would be the ultrawater filters and the H2 content of the water. But most people, with the diets we have, we're subjected to so many different foods that it's almost impossible to have a body that's not too acidic as far as a body goes. I'm not talking about the blood, because your blood will regulate itself or you will die. I mean, the blood is not going to be changed, but the interstitial fluids and the tissues and organs and various things have a certain amount of alkalinity that they need. And even the stomach. In between meals, your stomach does not need to be acidic all the time. And that's where sometimes people get acid reflux and other things. Their stomach is acidic too much. And, some people will get ulcers and things like that because their stomach is acidic too much, and it bores holes right in it. So your stomach does need to heal itself with an alkaline environment in between meals. And one thing that I have noticed, which I feel is part of the experience for me of drinking ionized water and knowing that it is perfect water as God intended it to be, is when I drink it, I get a certain mental clarity and feeling of well-being. And it's a feeling that I get, and I know others have told me they get that too. It's this ability to sense that. And I'm not going to guarantee everybody can sense that, but it's something that I can sense. And one other thing I wanted to really point out was about authorities. I don't want to be an authority for others. I don't like to have others be an authority for me. I like the information and to look into it myself, and I encourage others to look into things themselves. Try it. See if it is something that you, after experiencing it, can say, yes, this is good. And that's why I give customers a 60-day satisfaction guarantee for purchasing a water ionizer, for that very reason, so that they can not take my word for it as an authority or anything, or various doctors' words for it, but try it and see, does this water ionizer feel right to your body? And so I guess in parting, I want to say that for all these reasons, I have always felt that ionized water is heavenly water, the way God intended water to be. And I like to make it available to all my customers and make myself available to answer questions and, help them in every way possible to understand the water, get educated about it, and also get a ionizer for themselves so they can have perfect healing water, as if they were billionaires going out to the Appalachians or whatever, Alps or whatever, to get the beautiful healing water in these pockets around the world. Thank you.